Hiya! Welcome back to my channel and welcome to another video. Today's, as you can probably tell from the title, is something a little bit more personal, a little bit more serious, and I just really wanted to sit down and have a chat with you guys. As it is this week, you may or may not be aware, but it is Eating Disorder Awareness Week. And I just kind of wanted to share my story in order to hopefully help some of you guys out there, either if you know someone who's currently going through an eating disorder or whether you are yourself. Hopefully you'll be able to take something from this video and you'll find it useful and encouraging. And yeah, I just thought it would be the right kind of time to share my story. I've been wanting to speak out about this now for quite a while, but just haven't felt yet in a place ready to do so. And then this week rolled around and I just felt like it was the right time to do it. Sorry in advance if this video is a little bit all over the place. I haven't pre-planned exactly what I want to say. I just want to keep it as raw and real as possible. But yeah, without further ado, let's just sort of get into the main point of this video. So around the UK, I don't know the exact figure, but I know loads of people, both male and female, go through eating disorders. And they affect so many people, so it's so great that there is a week like this which does help to bring greater awareness to it. Because with any kind of disorder that affects mental health in some kind of way, no two individuals will share the exact same journey. And I think unless you've been through it yourself, then it's definitely hard to know exactly what it's like, no matter how much you know about it and what you hear it's supposed to be like. I feel like until you actually experience it yourself, you won't ever know exactly what it is like for that person. And like I said as well, between two people, even if they're suffering from the same kind of thing, it will be so different for those two individuals. But definitely the fact that more people are becoming more aware of it now and that there is a whole week dedicated to it, hopefully will help so many people out there and encourage a lot more people to get through recovery and actually beat their eating disorder. So coming on to my actual own story, you may or may not be aware, you may have picked up sort of on hints of it in certain videos of mine or from things that I've said, but I did suffer from anorexia. And basically, just a quick backstory in case you don't really know much about it, then it is a form of an eating disorder where you basically don't feed yourself enough, you deprive yourself of lots of food and lots of nutrients to the point where you're no longer at a healthy weight, and it has so many impacts and implications on your body as well, and it's definitely very sort of harsh on your overall health and well-being. A lot of the time people will associate it as if someone is severely underweight, that means that they are anorexic, but it's more of a mental disorder and your mindset towards food, and then the other things that come along with it are more of a symptom and sort of more of a side effect of the eating disorder than the eating disorder itself. I have no idea really what particularly triggered it for me or when it exactly started. But I would say probably when I was about the age of 16, I definitely started to pick up on a few sort of behaviours or habits that were sort of eating disorder related, but at that time it wasn't really anything too bad. Obviously with the way society is and the whole marketing of having to look a certain way or the diet trends and everything out there, I decided that I just wanted to be a bit healthier, eat a bit healthier, get into exercise more, which all seemed very well at first, but then it soon started to turn into this unhealthy cycle where I was pushing it to the limits. I was over exercising and under fueling myself, as you probably got hints of in my fitness journey video, where I did start to touch upon this a bit, but I didn't fully open up about my whole eating disorder in itself. And my whole mindset towards food started to become more focused on the calories, which a lot of the time happens for people with eating disorders, and you start to just focus on the numbers of food rather than the food itself. I definitely fell into bad habits of counting calories at one point, and also getting to a bad rhythm of being overly aware of my weight. And there would be certain days that if I knew I weighed a certain amount, then I wouldn't let myself eat something else, or I would base my food choices based on what I weighed. And it would even come down to things like, oh no, I shouldn't have like an orange or this small cereal bar because my weight was over this amount today, rather than just eating it because I wanted it and because my body actually needed it, as I was depriving myself of food at the time. So at this point I really started to form a really unhealthy relationship with food, just focusing on the numbers, focusing in on the calories, focusing in on my weight, which only had really bad effects in itself. And I started to lose a lot of weight, which at first I was still in the healthy weight range, but then I did reach a point where I was substantially below where I should be, or where a healthy weight was. And a real good indicator of this, sorry if this is like TMI at all, I know people don't always like talking about periods and everything, but I'm someone who's always had a very sort of regular cycle. It started to get to the point where it would come every other month or every few months, and then to the point where I actually lost it completely. Not to mention just how bad that is for your own health. It's bad for your bone health, it's bad for your own body cycle. And what actually happens, and I always found it, what did help me was when I started to look into it more and find out what was actually going on and understanding what was happening in my own body. And a lot of people who severely deprive themselves of food will end up losing their period because your body goes into sort of a stress state. It thinks it's in a famine state, and so both your cortisol, which is your stress hormone, and also your sex hormones, so like your progesterone, your estrogen, which regulate your monthly cycle, are made from the same main factors. And so when your body's in that stress state, it all goes towards producing more cortisol, preparing your body to be in that alert, attentive state, ready for whenever food becomes available again, as opposed to prioritizing obviously your monthly cycle and the potential to get pregnant, because your body sees itself as not being in a state to grow or have a baby as such. So that is why that kind of happens, and that's a real good indicator that something's just not right. If your cycle goes off, it's definitely a sign that something needs to change, or that something you're doing isn't quite right. But when you're in that eating disorder mindset, it just likes to sort of mask over everything, tell you that everything's okay, and you just don't even see it for yourself. No matter how many people may approach you or wonder if you're okay, in yourself you just don't see that anything's wrong, and you genuinely think that your weird little habits and behaviours around food are completely normal, which is definitely the hard bit of the eating disorder, because it kind of masks over everything else and you just can't see it for yourself. So even if people try to reach out and help you, you just don't think that anything's wrong, and it just confuses you as to why so many people are concerned. And also, an eating disorder itself isn't only bad for you and your body in terms of you may get amenorrhea, which is losing your period, also severe impact on your bone health. It has severe impacts on your internal organs as well. As they start to compromise, your digestion slows down as your body tries to preserve as many nutrients as possible from the little food you're giving it. Your whole body system basically goes out of whack. But along with that as well, it also affects your personality. You start to become withdrawn, and often coupled with it, you suffer from things like depression and anxiety and other mental health disorders, which I know definitely impacted me too. And you start to isolate yourself from social situations. You find it harder to be around other people. You start to get mood swings, you become more irritable, and it just basically affects you as a person as a whole as well. But then it's only once you actually start to recognise it for yourself and you come to terms with it that you actually start to get into a place where you want to recover. And I think going into recovery, if you are someone who potentially is affected or knows someone who is affected but isn't yet ready to open up about it or talk about it, then just let them know that you're there for them for if they do and when they do want to open up and talk about it. Also, just try and seek them the help that you can, even though that's definitely a lot easier said than done for sure, because when someone's suffering from an eating disorder, they'll be very resistant to the help you try to give them. Once they finally see how it's affecting them and reach that mindset where they do actually want to recover, then that is definitely a great point to reach. And that said, recovery is by no means a straight path, and you'll just want to recover and you'll get better and you'll be there and everything will be great. It's definitely a bumpy road. It has many ups and downs, and you'll definitely go through phases where even though underlying it the whole time you'll want to recover, you'll start to make improvements and suddenly you'll slip back down as your old behaviours and habits related to your eating disorder come back into play, just because they're so sort of drilled into you, because that's what you're used to and that's what you know. It is hard to overcome them, but the more you persevere and the more you push through it, the easier it will get. Recovery is definitely not the easiest process to go through. There'll be many times that are hard and a lot of challenges you have to face, from sort of feeling like you're overfeeding yourself to feeling really uncomfortably full to severe bloating, messed up digestion and everything else that comes along with it. It's definitely not easy, and it's those moments which make the recovery process hard and make it easier for you to slip back into your old ways. But the more you persevere and the sooner you get through those points, the sooner you'll be in a better place. And honestly, I can't tell you enough how amazing it is to actually push through those hurdles and get past it and get into a better place. For me, I know I reached a point where I wanted to get better and I was more aware of it and I knew what I was doing to myself. However, I basically, last year while I was at uni, I maintained my weight, but I wasn't yet still at a healthy point. I did luckily manage to maintain my weight. I didn't lose any more, but at the same time I didn't gain any. But I was more aware of my habits and behaviours. But in terms of my mental health, those little habits and behaviours still crept into my day-to-day life. And then it was only really particularly during summer last year where I reached a point where I had a massive mindset change and was like, what am I doing with myself? And I just don't really want this to carry on for much longer. It's occupying too much of my life. I don't want to spend a large part of my day just stressing and worrying about food. I just want to be enjoying my day-to-day life and not have that to think about. And then in the summer I found out, I did a blood test and my liver enzymes were higher than they should be, and that can be related to a whole bunch of different liver diseases, but I knew that I probably didn't have any of those because what it's often related to just didn't really tie in, or it'd be weird if I did have one of those. But at that point then it did hit me that when your liver enzymes are higher, it's normally because your liver is attacking itself. It did hit me that I was just sort of slowly kind of destroying myself in a way. It was at that point that I really just reached that mindset of where I wanted it all to stop and just to get better and get past it. And so I massively increased my food intake and started to actually look after myself more. I started to put back on the weight, but like I said before, that was by no means an easy journey or a smooth journey in any kind of way. It definitely took a lot of perseverance and really wanting to reach that good point to actually get through it. And then I finally did reach a healthy weight again, but not only that, that's not only the important part of recovery, but I actually started to feel myself more again. I got my personality back. I started to want to be around people more. I started to want to actually get out and enjoy my life more. And these are all the kind of things that people don't often talk about or don't know about. They think if you've got an eating disorder, you sort out the disordered behaviours around food, you put on the healthy weight and everything's fine. But it's not only that you gain from it, there's so much more, and I can't even tell you how worth it is just pushing through and reaching that sort of healthy point again. And also your day no longer revolves around just food and thinking about food constantly, planning your meals. I know I'm just generally someone who likes to plan anyway, but it would just get to the point where I'd be thinking about what I'd be having for my next meal, planning it all out. Just my constant thought would be one meal, and then I'd be thinking straight after that on, oh, what's my next meal going to be? What am I going to be having? And overthinking, overanalyzing everything I had that day, and just my whole thoughts were overconsumed with food thoughts, which is only a natural response for when you're depriving yourself, because your body just primes itself to think about food and to bias its thoughts towards food, so that if you see food in the environment or if you see someone else eating, or so that your mind's always on food, so that you're always thinking about it and always aware of it because your body's trying to tell you you need food. Let's be as much aware of it as we can so that we can get all the food that we can see and no longer be in this starvation state. But once you reach that healthy weight and you start to get better and you start to get those mindset changes, your day, honestly, you actually can just get on with your day without having to have those constant worries or anxious thoughts about food and when you're going to be next eating, what you're going to be next eating. And also along with it as well, often in disordered eating you get patterns of behaviour as well, particularly with anorexia. You have a lot of habits that you'll build up. Your eating disorder loves a good routine. You get stuck into a routine and stuck in ways, and you find it very hard to be flexible with that as well. And you can get really thrown off whenever something doesn't go to plan, or if something else pops up when you had already planned to do something else. And it's just so nice to get beyond that and not be as rigid in your ways and not have to have these set habits. And if something doesn't go right or it doesn't always go to plan, that doesn't matter, because everything in life isn't ever always going to go to plan and it's not always going to go your way. But once you can start to get out of those daily habits and those routines that you set yourself, it honestly makes your life so much more smooth running, and it releases a lot of stress as well. Because if there's certain things that you had to do at certain times, or you had these certain patterns of behaviour but then suddenly something came up and it wouldn't quite fit in with your plan, it would just cause you to over stress about it, overthink it, and that's just not a way to live your day-to-day life. If you are someone who's currently going through any form of disordered eating, or you know someone who is, then I highly encourage you to sort of seek the help you can and really try and persevere and push past it. Even when you reach those difficult points during recovery, just keep pushing through, because just know that once you get past it, it's honestly the best feeling and so deserving, and it's just the most amazing feeling to know you pushed past it and actually persevered even when things got really hard. I know in the UK one of the major eating disorder charities is Beat, and they do lots of amazing things to help people get past it and help people through with their recovery journey, and I know there's probably many more as well, but they are definitely one of the main big ones who help a lot of people out. But yeah, if you, like I said, if you are going through it or know someone who is, then definitely I just highly encourage you to get the help that you can and really just try and push past it. And I guess the main message I kind of want you to take from this video is just that recovery is possible. Oh, I just feel like generally I'm quite like a closed kind of person, so opening up about something so personal definitely is hard for me. But yeah, I guess the main thing I do want you to just sort of take from this video is that recovery is definitely possible, and keep pushing through it, and once you reach that point and come out on the other side, you'll honestly be so grateful that you chose to recover and you chose to push through. So yeah. Oh, I did not want to get like this in this video, but I was not expecting to either. But yeah, I hope you have taken something away from this video. If you do have any further questions or want to reach out to anyone at all, then definitely be sure to contact me either on my Twitter or my Instagram DMs, which are, both of those links are always down below. As I know sometimes to talk about these kind of things, it can be easier to talk about it with someone who's either been through it or someone who you're not sort of emotionally attached to. So yeah, definitely feel free to reach out if you do have any questions at all, or just want a bit of support or advice at all, then definitely feel free to message me. But yeah, I hope you have got something from this video. I think I will end this here because I think this is going to be a really long waffly video. But yeah, I'll be sure to see you soon with a brand new video. Something a little bit more cheery hopefully. And yeah, like I said, feel free to reach out and I'll see you soon. Bye.